Hello everyone, welcome. This is Norma Woodcock speaking to you from Perth in Western Australia. And I want to speak today into the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year C. And the theme is, who is the poor one? The readings are about taking care of the poor. Who is the poor one in your life? In Luke's Gospel we hear about the rich man and Lazarus, and we know the story well. The rich man had his table laden with food, and Lazarus the beggar sat outside his door with sores on his body and no food. Mother Teresa said this: I always say that love starts at home. Family first, then your town or city. It's easy to love people who are far away, but not so easy to love those who live with us. Who is the poor one in your family, in your life? So how do we love this person that we're being called to love? To love someone, we have to enter into their world. We will never understand them from the outside. And I want to tell a story that I heard many years ago, or I read. I think it was the Jesuit brothers, the Lynn brothers, talked about this story, Tom the Orderly. Tom the Orderly worked in this home for mentally disturbed people. And there was a woman there who had been in there for 20 years, and in that entire time she had never spoken a word. Tom the Orderly one day decided to pull up his chair next to this woman. And what this woman did when she was sitting in this chair is she just rocked to and fro for 20 years. That's all she'd ever done, was just sit and rock, never spoken a word. Tom decided to enter into her world. And he would, in his lunch hour, he would just sit there and he would just rock beside her. That's all he did. Monday to Friday, in his lunch hour, he would just rock. Then he asked for permission to come in on the weekends. And Tom the Orderly came in on the weekends and he sat beside this woman and he just would sit there and he would just rock. One day, 6 months later, she spoke. And as he got up to leave, she said, "Goodbye." Would you believe the woman was completely restored to health over a short period of time and discharged from the hospital? And I guess what I'm asking today is, how do we respond to those closest to us? I have to be very honest, as I believe I try to be in these presentations. I have a husband who loves to fish, and I'm not at all interested in fishing. And yet when we sit and have a little bit of time together of an evening, he wants to talk about the fish that got away, and the fish that was so big that it nearly dragged him into the water, and the fish this and the fish that. And I have to sometimes just be very, very still and allow myself to hear and enter into his world, because my world doesn't consist of fish or fishing lines or water. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I feel that maybe I've succeeded and he feels like he has been heard and understood and he has been able to share his world with me a little better. These Jesuit priests came up with what they call the 4 moments of affirmation that I want to share with you. The first affirmation is to see the goodness in ourselves because someone has affirmed us. Tom the Orderly had someone in his life, probably his very early years, loved him and affirmed him. I didn't have that. Maybe you didn't have that either. But you know what? God has given that to me, and God will give that to you to love you into life. The second step is, to affirm another, we need to see the unique goodness and lovableness in that person and be quietly present to it. And that's what Tom the Orderly did. He saw the unique lovableness of this woman and he just sat there and was present to it. The third step, to be moved inwardly by the other's goodness and to be delighted by it without wanting to grab, possess or change the other to gratify our own needs. So Tom was quietly present, and just in his presence, his gestures, the tone of his voice, the smile on his face, he let that woman know there was something worth sitting there with. And the fourth step is to let our delight in another's goodness show especially in non-verbal ways. And that's what Tom did, the tone of voice and the facial expression. It is really, really hard to hear this message that may cost us a little bit, and to allow God to lead us to enter into the world of that person who is in our life, who is poor and needs us to become a part of their world, even if it's only just for a little while, in a show of love and appreciation, a show of affirmation. But that's what changes people's lives from the inside out. May you have a good week. I look forward to catching up with you again next week. God bless you, and thanks for watching.